Shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us his truth. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful Lake Akim, teaching and preaching his truth with all righteousness and sincerity. This is Akia Wasap, and today's lesson is entitled A Diesel Shortage and a Potential Outcome. And Lord willing, you be edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, the true names of the Heavenly Father, and his only begotten Son. And as always, our sit downs, our lessons, the street speaking is for the remnant, the elect, the Israel of the Most High, to you as the gospel preached. So it's a lot of talk right now with, diesel fuel shortages and different things that's going to be happening in that realm of in that industry. All right. And diesel fuel is very vital to any economy. All right. A lot of the things that we rely on, from clothes to food to building materials, all right, transportation, logistics, the whole infrastructure relies on diesel fuel. So if there's a shortage, that can spell a domino effect of many different woes, economic woes. And at the end of the day, everything is about the prophecies, which is the testimony of the Lord Yahweh Shai. And we know that Esau Edom, which is the so-called white man who's ruling the earth in wickedness, he has an agenda to fulfill. There's particular things that he has to do in earth. All right. And at the end of the day, it's the Lord that ruleth in the kingdom of men. Man's goings of the Lord, how then shall a man understand his own way? At the end of the day, this is a movie of the Lord. All right. And the Lord has particular characters set up in this movie to fulfill particular things. You got the prophets out on the highways and the byways, shaking their hand, standing stiffly for the names of the Lord, rightly dividing the word and truth, pushing repentance. All right. Pushing the vibration of truth, pushing the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding. And then you have the global elites that's doing their part. All right. And as we get closer and closer to the end, these elites, they're going to be pushing out, different vibrations upon the earth. And we know that there will be an economic collapse, a new financial system. And with that new financial system, there will be an implantable device that will be made mandatory to take to be, a part of the new financial system. And if you don't receive it, you will be put to death. All right. Revelation 13:16. So I got this article here. A brother shared it in the chat the other day. I believe it was the brother Dawadah. So if you're watching, brother Shalom and Thawada. And it's going into diesel shortages. I have another supporting article from Fox 5 DC, pretty much backing up, what this article is going into. And then, of course, we got the prophecies. Now, before we get into those articles, let's get a couple of precepts real quick. Because I mentioned a couple of things when opening up this video. When you go to Proverbs 16:4, it says the Lord have made all things for himself. Yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. So the Lord uses the wicked, which is Esau. Malachi, the first chapter, speaks about the wicked being the Edomites. Now you have nations and you have Israelites that do wickedly, but in the Bible, it speaks about a nation that's the wicked. So when we read this here, Proverbs 16:4, it says the Lord have made all things for himself. And that's literal. Everything is made for the pleasure of the Lord. Yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. So the wicked, these Edomites, their purpose is to bring evil, which evil is bad times. All right. When we go to Revelation 6, and we constantly go into these scripts, but this is the time and season that we in. This is Revelation 6:4. And there went out another horse that was red. This is talking about Esau and his power structure. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Who was the power given by? It was given from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Let's get Daniel real quick. And then we're going to come back to Revelation 6. As it is written in Psalms 119, I get understanding by the precepts. And that's how you um put this truth together. Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. That's written in Isaiah, the 28th chapter. This is Daniel, or Daniel Allah in the Hebrew, chapter 4, verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, the angels, because the Lord controls everything in the earth by way of the angels. Lord, through the angels, put the spirits on people to do particular things in the earth, and a demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. All right. No matter who's in a position of power, the Lord is ruling in his kingdom. He's putting the spirits on these different kings of the earth, the elites, different individuals to do particular things. And it says, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and he setteth up over it the basis of men. So the nation of people that's in power right now, which is the Edomites, they're the basis of men. When you read Job, the 30th chapter, it speaks about the condition these Edomites were prior to them getting in a position of power. There was like the Neanderthals, so on and so forth. But the point that I want to pretty much pluck out of this precept is that the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men. So the Lord is in power. So now when we go back to Revelation 6 and 4, it says, and there went out another horse that was red. This is Esau and his power structure. And power was given to him that sat thereon. So power from the Lord was given to Esau to take peace from the earth. So this is his role. Esau's role is to take peace from the earth, and that they shall kill one another. All right, that's in the spirit of Esau. When you read the story of actual Esau and Jacob, he wanted to kill his brother Jacob because he was jealous over the blessing that he received. All right, and that's sin right there, because when you read in Deuteronomy, the 5th chapter, it speaks about thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Ultimately the goods come from the blessings, because when you covet after your neighbor's goods, you desire, you wish, you lust after, certain spirits come out of that: jealousy, hatred, and it can go to the extreme of death, and murder. All right, so once again, that they shall kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword, going to the blessing that Esau received from his from his father Isaac, in Genesis 27. Now, when we go down to the pale horse, the pale horse and the red horse is both Esau, right? The 8th verse, it says, and I looked and beheld a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death and Hell. These are characteristics of Esau. He's programmed to bring evil, like we read in Proverbs 16:4. The Lord hath created all things for himself, yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. All right. And his name that sat on him was Death and Hell. So Esau is set up to bring these hellish conditions, to bring oppression, to bring discomfort. All right. Followed with him, and power, once again, power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth. The fourth part of the earth is the Americas, to kill with the sword, Esau's blessing, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So Esau is going to come down with great wrath. All right. And these are going to be the avenues that he's going to use to bring that wrath. So when we come across articles that's speaking about a diesel fuel shortage, this has Esau's name written all over it. Once again, he's set up to take peace from the earth. And understanding the the importance of diesel fuel for an economy and it being taken away, that can be a domino effect of economic woes. So let's read a little bit of these articles. All right, once again, this is Fox 5, Washington, D.C. It says U.S. diesel supplier warns businesses to prepare for shortages, higher prices for consumers. So that's going to put more of a financial strain on, the average worker. All right. And businesses. Because at the end of the day, there needs to be an economic collapse. All right. In order for a new system to be ushered in. So they got to convince the world that, hey, look, man, things are getting worse. This inflation, we're going through a hyper stagflationary period. Everything is costing a lot. People aren't able to make ends meet. Cost of living is ridiculous. Renting a home is crazy. The feds are constantly raising interest rates, making it harder to get business loans, bank loans, buy a house, buy a car, so on and so forth. Look, we gotta transition to a new system. So they're gonna be using these different type of avenues, all right, to bring that pressure. They're gonna be blaming the war over there in Ukraine with the Russians, so on and so forth. It says, I'm gonna just read a little bit of it. All right. Fuel supplier Mansfield Energy is taking steps to prepare for a diesel shortage on the east coast of the United States, which is Babylon the Great. This place will be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction during World War III, issuing a advisory to businesses that rely on the fuel to plan rather than panic. Now, what industries rely on diesel fuel? I have done some research and I came across um, this read here. It says 7 industries that use bulk fuel delivery the most. So you got, these different categories, right? So got the municipalities, all right. You got, government vehicles, government fleets, power plants, okay, manufacturing companies, school districts, truck stops, service stations. And that's what this article is going to be going into. All right. And then, of course, you got the agriculture. All right. Farmers need fuel so they can grow crops, which will in turn feed the world. So if the agriculture industry isn't getting the diesel fuel, then the farmers will not be able to do their part in regards to supplying food. All right. Because in that agriculture realm, you have tractors, you have plows, you have different equipment in that field that rely on diesel in order to operate. You got construction, which construction is the backbone of America. Well, it's the backbone of America's infrastructure and development, and it runs on diesel. So, the different bulldozers, the cranes, the excavators, these different, vehicles used to, get the construction done, they rely on diesel fuel. So if there's a shortage, then you can toss away construction. And then of course, truck stops. These truck stop stations, they need to have enough fuel on hand at all times. Why? Because you got the 18 wheelers coming in and out, and those 18 wheelers have shipping containers. And in those shipping containers, they have products coming from overseas to supply these major um, uh, stores, your Walmarts, your Targets, you know, Amazon, so on and so forth. So, you know, diesel fuel is very vital to a society. And once again, all these industries are vital to the infrastructure and economic growth. So if this society is without it, the diesel fuel, this system can crumble overnight. All right. And diesel fuel is a lifeline of this society. It's like the blood flow. And if the blood flow is clogged, then the body goes into shock and collapse. So if there's a shortage, then things can, uh, turn around drastically. So let's continue reading here on Fox 5 and get some more precepts and get out of here. It says last week, Mansfield Energy raised a red flag on an up and coming diesel fuel shortage in the southern eastern region of the U.S., speculating it could be from poor pipeline shipping economies and a historic low supply of reserves. Because with the situation in with Russia and Ukraine, you know, that's weakening the economy in Europe, and Russia is a major supplier of fuel and energy. So with the different embargoes and the different, sanctions that was put on them, that's slowing up energy being shipped worldwide. And then you had the Nord Stream 1 and the Nord Stream 2 pipeline being disconnected or destroyed. That's gonna, that's causing a ripple effect in these different global economies, in these global markets. And we're gonna feel the strain. And that's gonna cause a troubling time, especially here in America. You Americans have grown accustomed to having everything that you want at your fingertips. And when those wants and needs aren't able to be met, then disaster is going to meet. It says last week, Mansfield Energy raised it. Okay, I read that. On a normal day, the East Coast makes markets have 50 million barrels in storage, but right now there are less than 25 million barrels available. So it's down 50%. A tight diesel supply will force prices to go up. Things are already high, and those prices, it gets passed down to the consumer. So that's why you're seeing a lot of things costing more. It says, which will eventually make it too expensive for some people. The company said in a press release on Monday, high prices will bring demand back down enough that it balanced with limited supply. So, we're gonna see how things work out. But at the end of the day, we set upon our watch. We're watching the different things that's happening worldwide, and we made it to the prophecies. Now, I'm gonna get this in Jeremiah, and then we're gonna hit this other article, and then we're gonna close out. This is Jeremiah 30:1. It says, deliverance from captivity promise. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh saying, now Jeremiah was a prophet during the time of the kings. In fact, King Josiah was on the scene when Jeremiah was on the scene, and another prophet, Zephaniah, was on the scene. Just a background of Jeremiah. Says, thus speaketh Yahweh, power of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. And that's how we got the Bible today. The Lord spoke the word, and great was the company of them that publish it. So, man did write the Bible. Holy men, the prophets wrote the Bible. They received the visions, they received the words from the Lord, and they wrote the things down in the book. It says, for lo, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah. Now it says Israel and Judah because there was a separation. It was a split. But in the end times, which is the time period that we're in now, the tribes is coming together by way of the word. The word is what's gathering the Israelites, and everything is about the elect. So collectively, Israel and Judah make up the 12 tribes. So what it's saying here, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, the Lord is going to free us from these hellish conditions that we're in. Saith Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to the land that I have gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. So before these particular the salvation happens and the Lord brings us back to our land, there's going to be some things that happen, right? It says, and these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling and of fear and not peace. And that's what you hear from the prophets. You hear the prophets going into the end time prophecies, and the end time prophecies consist of tribulation, trouble, famine, chaos, pestilence. All these different sad perils that we often go into in these videos, it should produce a trembling and a fear of not peace. All right. As ye now see whether a man doth travail with child, wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. So what is it saying? It's going to come a time in the very near future that men is going to be in constant turmoil, going to be in constant trouble, just like a woman in travail. She has those labor contractions, and towards the end of the baby, towards the end of that pregnancy, when a baby is almost born, those contractions, they come consistent. And that's how these prophecies is going to be. These different economic woes, these different bad times, the tribulation, the trouble, the civil unrest, it's going to be consistent. And men that are outside the truth, they ain't gonna know what to do in order to escape, And if men is going to be in this position, what about women and children? It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. The individuals that will be saved out of this troubling time will be the elect. So it's a time of trouble. Jake is going to go through it. And we went into, prophecies when opening up this lesson, how the Lord created the wicked for the day of evil. So the Lord is going to put the spirit on Esau to bring these different calamities, and it's going to produce that time of trouble. So when we see articles, diesel fuel shortages, we already know what time it is. We know that the Lord is doing these particular things. We read it in Daniel, the 4th chapter. The Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men. So the Lord is putting these spirits out for Esau to do these particular things. It says, for it shall come to pass, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and I will burst thy bronze. The Lord is going to free us from our oppressor. And strangers, these heathens, shall no more serve themselves of him. So we ain't going to be working for these heathens no more. It says, but they, the Israelites, shall serve Yahweh their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up to them. Now, David is a part of end time prophecy. The Lord is going to raise up David, all right, which he's sleeping right now. All right, David, King Masha, is our elders and apostles, a great millstone elders, and he will be risen back up. So this time of trouble is going to happen in the end times. All right, and the end is synonymous with the downfall of Esau's rulership. It says, but they shall serve Yahweh their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. But before that happens, there's going to be this time of trouble. All right. So as we continue to stand on our watch and we see these particular things happening in the world, we know what time it is. We know that trouble in time is near. This is from the Hall Turner radio show. It says truckers reporting no diesel fuel, parts of North Carolina, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. All right. And that, backs up what we read here on this article here, where it spoke about diesel shortages on the East Coast of the United States. All right. Sorry, we have no diesel. It says American truck drivers are sounding the alarm that diesel fuel is running out. It was on October 14th that the U.S. Energy Infrastructure Agency publicly stated the nation was down to 25 days of diesel fuel reserves. That will put the run out date Tuesday, November 8th, which is today. And Shabbat Shalom, too. It's a Sabbath, a full moon. And it was a blood moon earlier. And we know that the blood moons and the wolf moons and the super moons, these are omens. These are different signs. And it's so-called voting day, which Israelites, you shouldn't be voting, okay? It says, yet diesel fuel continues to be refined throughout the country. So while reserves may have been down to 25 days, there was still ongoing production, okay? Yet, as shown in the video below, truckers in North Carolina are reporting large 50-mile areas of that state without diesel fuel. So it's a little video, 44 seconds.
Store right here in small town, Royal Gilbert, North Carolina. No diesel. No diesel. I've never in my lifetime seen this happen. And I thought all this 25 days of diesel fuel left in America was a bunch of BS. There's 2 stores right here in my little small town that ain't got no diesel fuel. Truckers are scavenging, can't find fuel. There's not fuel for probably 50 miles around here. It's not looking good. Y'all better remember who to vote for next Monday.
Yeah, so these Edomites, man, they getting roused up. All right, they seeing their kingdom crumbling because this is their blessing. America, you know, these patriot, what is it called? These patriot Edomites, this is their country and this infrastructure is crumbling. So you can expect them to rouse up. All right. Isaiah 19 speaks about the Egyptian against the Egyptian. So, you know, these nations is going, you know, I mean, these Edomites, they're going to rouse up and they're going to get busy with that sword, especially on Jake. And we read in Revelation 6 how these Edomites, they, you know, they kill one another. So it's going to be off the hook. It says similar videos have came out of Oklahoma within the past 3 days as well. Fuel distributors in Tennessee announced they have begun limiting purchases of diesel fuel in that state. And once again, those 18-wheelers, they rely on diesel fuel to get these products to and fro the United States, which is Babylon. So if the purchases of fuel is becoming limited, then that means it's going to decrease their travel time. And then they got to refuel at another place. So that can slow up, you know, goods and services getting to your stores. And then people's going to see the different shelves and different things being limited. And that's going to produce panic shopping, panic buying. All right. The long lines, and then it's going to be limitations at the store. So, you know, that can cause people to become irate, irritated, you know, fights breaking out. Like I said, like we read in Jeremiah 30, Jacob's trouble, okay, a troubling time. Our Lord Yahushua talked about it as well. He spoke about tribulation. It says, like all other nations, the United States runs on diesel fuel. And we went into that earlier in this lesson. All tractor trailers, trains, cargo ships require diesel fuel to operate. Once again, diesel fuel is the lifeline of this infrastructure. If that fuel runs out, then there is no way to transport cargo anywhere. Supermarkets only have 3 days supply of food in their store shelves. In large metropolitan areas, those supermarkets must get truck deliveries every day to keep the shelves stocked. If diesel runs out, restocking cannot take place. And what does that spell? Famine. Okay. Our Lord Yahushua said in the last days there will be famines. Let me get this real quick, and I'm gonna get another precept, and we're gonna close out. Slacky on it. See at 24. Matthew chapter 24. Now Matthew the 24th chapter is talking about two different time periods, talking about 70 AD, the Roman siege of Jerusalem, and the time period that we're in now. Matthew 24:7, for nation shall rise up against nation, that's your civil unrest. Nation going back to the Greek word ethnos, which is tribes and kindreds of people. What we saw that Edomite doing on that video, that can lead to civil unrest. They're going to feel like they're betrayed by their governors, their mayors, their politicians, their presidents, and they're going to try to take back, their rights. They're going to be relying on their constitutional rights and so on and so forth. They're going to feel betrayed. It says in kingdom against kingdom, we see that, Russian against Ukraine, America against Russia, China against Taiwan, so on and so forth. And there shall be famines, plural. But how is the famine going to happen? We can look at things like this: diesel fuel shortages. And we read in the article that, these tractors, these trains, these 18-wheelers, they rely on diesel to get the different products and supplies to supermarkets. So if there's a shortage, then those industries aren't going to get those products, and it can produce the famine. And there shall be famines and pestilences, different diseases and earthquakes in diverse places. Places that typically don't be having earthquakes will be having earthquakes. And this famine is going to be as in a destruction. This is Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 16. And, these different judgments happen in the ancient world, right? But as it is written in Ecclesiastes, the first chapter, that which have been is now, and that which shall be has already been done. So history repeats itself. It says, when I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, an arrow is to pierce you, to cut you deep. And that's what the famine will do, which shall be for the destruction, and which I will send to destroy you. So the Lord is going to use this famine to destroy Jake and these nations here in Babylon. Right. And there's going to be other things that happen. Race, like we read, race, rural riots, civil unrest, and then ultimately World War III, when those missiles get shot here and cause that lake of fire, that's going to take out all of those who are not of the elect of Israel. It says, and I will increase the famine upon you, and I will break your staff of bread. That's your grocery stores. It says, and so will I send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, killing children. And pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, disease outbreaks. And I will bring the sword upon you, the military. I, Yahweh, have spoken it. So, hey, things is looking very dark, but we want it to look dark because we know that the Lord is, closer. Salvation is near. So I'm gonna leave it at that. This have been a diesel shortage and a potential outcome. Lord willing, you are edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shabbat Shalom. Shalom, Akim. Stay strong.